Hi, I'm Jebb. Here in my workshop, there are a few 400s and 500s. First, I'm going to inspect this 503J built in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec in the early 60s, mid-60s in Canada. Today, I will show you the seized Singer 503J. I will inspect it and see if I can find out why it is seized. But I'm really looking forward to working on this 503J because I've never worked on a 503 at all before. So I hope this helps you with your machines and your restorations. And thanks for being here. Please subscribe if you can and enjoy. To get started, I'm going to remove the little brush off the top, open the lid, and I'm going to loosen the two screws in order to remove the lid. Here's the first screw. I have a little tray. Here's the other screw. Off comes the lid. We see the bobbin winder is there. Cam stack with a fashion disc, cam disc is there. These are there. And there's a thread guide. And that is for the thread guide. Thread must be coming around there like that. We'll talk about that later. We'll go in here and take a closer look right now. There are obvious little bit of varnishing underneath the cam disc. That is a zigzag fashion disc, cam disc in there. And there we can see the worm gear on the horizontal arm shaft right down there. I'm not sure that's obvious. I think it may be. There's the eccentric gear. It's not circular, it's not perfectly round, it's elongated, and that's the forked. It is forked, and that's how the power is transferred to the bottom of the machine vertically, here where it meets the hook driving shaft. That's how the hook gear is driven. And there is a gear there. That's the top of the gear, hard to see under this electrical wire conduit and protector or channel that it's running through. And so there's the worm gear there, there's the TEXTOLITE gear at the top of the motor, top of the hand wheel meeting the top of the motor. The motor is not TEXTOLITE, it's steel. But we'll talk about the hand wheel as far as what's coming up on this machine. As I mentioned, the hook and the bobbin case is always one of the first things checked, as is the positioning bracket and lever, as is the tension, the upper tension especially, making sure that it does operate freely as well, and the hand wheel. So the nice thing about removing, the motor will come out whether the hand wheel is removed or not, and both of them will be coming off and out in the next few days. So, but that's kind of my modus operandi. What's the order of operations? Do an inspection, give a light oiling, do some dusting, and check, remove the motor, clean in there if it needs it after the motor is removed. That's the great thing about removing the motor, is that it opens up that cavity and it can get cleaned when the motor's gone. And the nice thing about this being a 403 is that, a 503, is that there's a lot less gear up here on the top than like the 401 or the 500. And so just looking here now, there's not a whole lot of, there is dust, and I think you'll see there that it's coming off as I sweep it with the little brush. And obviously I'm not oiling yet. I'm going to do my little sweep first, and whatever dust and debris I can get rid of before I drench it in oil, soak it in oil, that would be a good policy. And there is, I just got some more out of that little spot there. So I have that brush. I also have a toothbrush, which is good for getting into the narrow places. Be aware that there's a spring behind this. This goes along there, and then behind there is a spring. So have an eye, be gentle. And what else do I want to sweep while I'm up here? I think that's pretty much, well, oh, those are stains. But it's still jammed. Let me get some oil. And I'll show you where I'm going to go first with the oil. And so this was where my screw, I oiled the screw holes. So there's one there, done. And there's the other screw hole there, done. There is an oil hole there, done. And there is one there. And I'm going to throw a drop of oil in there. And one down there. And then I'm just going to throw a bit of oil in there. There, 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 there. There is one. There is one. There is one for the weight. I'll give that one a little one. That's a screw, I'll give that one. And then down on the needle bar. So that's all I can really oil. Can I do more? I'll drip some down there. And I realize I'm making a mess with oil a little bit. And that's okay. So for safekeeping, I'm going to take my screws for the top, for the lid that I just took off. Right, like that. And those screws, one goes there. And those holes have already been generously oiled. So running these screws in there will not only keep them found, I won't lose them. Because really, there's a reason I'm doing this. Anyway, so that's as far as we're going to go on the top right here and now. What I'm going to do is lean the machine back like that, and there's an oil place there, and there's another one there, and I want to oil that, and then I want to talk about that. You know what, I'm going to talk about this right now because this is different to me. I'm used to there's no screw head in there, there's no flat head, there's no slot, you know. It's just blank. It's just the end of a bolt. So maybe the screw is either up top or on the other side. This is a 503, so I've never done the throat plate positioning bracket on a 500. As far as I recall, the 401, the 400s, 401s, and stuff I have, yeah, a couple of times. But so this is a new adventure for me as well. But I also want to get a drop of oil in there, and then a drop of oil right down there. Where else? Do I see anything else on the front? No, I think that's about it. And let me set this up for a minute quickly, because I want to talk about that oil point right down there. Okay, that right there is an oil port, and what it does is it lubricates inside the bushing that the hook stud rotates in. And how it does that is the oil goes in there, in that hole, and underneath that hole is a thinner channel cut or ground, and it's ground on an angle so that that channel is only maybe like a 1/16 of an inch, if that, long, or no, it'd be a little longer, it'd be about maybe 1/4 of an inch vertically long going down, and it's a cut. And that's how the oil gets from there, slides down that cut in between the hook shaft and the hook bushing that the hook shaft is spinning in. And that's how that is lubricated. So it's that one is always very unlubricated. But check it out. Look in your instruction book if you still have it, or go online, because they're online too. So that's what I wanted to point out there. This is the cushioning spring to get our bobbin case in and out. The needle is still in, that'll be coming out before we do too much. This all has to be cleaned, that top race there. The clamps, they're going to need to be cleaned. I can tell you that once we get down there and get inside the clamps and pull the tubes and springs out, it's going to be filthy. But the rest of the machine, from what I've seen, is not that dirty. So now we'll go below. Let's get this off. I've got it off. I'm just going to leave that on there because it'll be in the way if I leave it there. There's the lid. You know what? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Let me move you in a little closer. So here it's pretty grimy, varnished on. There as well. That's the link from this positioning bracket to the positioning bracket lever up top. So and this was the area I was telling you, it's always a dirt track because of all the action down there. There was a lot of fluff there. Look at that. Oh my! Look at all that fluff. Obviously they were using red thread for a long time. Look at all the thread and fluff. So, it's not incredibly dirty or greasy or oily down here. And the machine seems to be nice and dry. And I'm pretty sure that is a PA 10-8. Already checked. It's a 10-8. Obviously the motor is going to be the mount. The motor mount will come out. The motor will come out. I'll get the hand wheel off. All of that will be cleaned in there, And likewise down here. While we're here, I'm going to do some oiling, and I know that most of you are pretty familiar with your own machine, your own 503 or 403 or whatever machine you have. And so I'm going to, I call this the four corners on these lifter bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. So automatically it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And that oil is just going to go in there and sit. And then the next thing I do is I get the joint that screw protects, which is right there. Cool. And then over here, and then over here, and then over here. So that's 8 places that we've done now. That is supposed to get grease, and I'll put that on in a minute. Now the other place I do is this one here, and I do that, and then I go down there, and I go there. I think I've already done these. Then I go here, and now I'm not going to oil anymore because of that huge dust conglomeration. I'd like to point out that the positioning bracket nut at the hook end, it is not steel, it's white plastic. That positioning bracket slides up into channel on the other side of that. And that is how you adjust the strength and the tension of the clamps and the distance. So yeah, and then of course, I will remove the hook. I will take off this the hook mesh gear, which is it's called the hook stud gear meshing to the gear driving bar. Sorry for clicking steel on steel. I've been telling myself don't do that. It's heck to listen to. There is a big ball of fluff on the inside of the bottom there, right there. A little bit of gunk hanging up there. So that's not all. Now, let me see, where am I going with the oiling? The other place I'm going to oil is, now that I've done that, is I am going to oil there. I'm going to get these holes, all of them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the outside of that gear. And then I'm going to go on the lever, and not touching the motor mount or the motor. And then, like I say, anything else in there is going to have to be done once I finish giving it the clean sweep, like this. Well, we got rid of a lot of stuff right there on that first pass. And then I want to move that lever. It's sticky. You know what, now that I've moved it, where's that oil? I'll get some more oil in there. I'm going to put some in there. I don't know what that hole's for. Same down here, there's another one down here. I'll put some oil in there too. Hey, the more the merrier. I want to show you something, if you can see it. Right down there, that right down there that I'm touching, that is a horizontal clip or spring. It's tense. It's been formed and tempered and all that. And when we're up top and we push this cushioning bracket we raise it and then push it back like I just did. That what I was showing you down below where I just oiled. And I said that's a spring, a flat spring. That's what that spring clip holds, is that. That's how that is held in there, because of that spring clip underneath, you know. And so that's pretty cool. So that's sort of my introduction to, let me get some grease before I go, since I'm doing all this lubricating. But yeah, that's, you know, the introduction to the 503J. The other place that I did want to oil that I did not, and I didn't mention it either, and I had thought about it, is down in there, that joint there, down in there, there. So I'm pretty sure that I've gotten every mechanical place that needs to be oiled. What else would I do? One of the first things I'm going to do is I have a real habit of, even though these bed feet are not that bad, they are old and degraded. So they'll be off. I'll get those screws in and get the rust off those heads. I did get some grease there. Let me move that grease around. What do I have to move that grease around? I do have my, you know, I have a cotton swab. There's some grease. Now I do need more grease. That's not near. And likewise, I am going to be generous. And you know, because I can't rotate the hand wheel, I gotta paint it on. And you know, I'm already, you know, as part of my normal cleaning process, I like to get underneath and clean where I can't see. And that's a good habit to get in. You know, most restorers do get into that habit, I think. This has had a light oiling. It's been dusted. It's had some oil. And now I'm going to let it sit for the better part of today or whatever, and let that oil soak in. As it does, you know, having said that, half hour, 45 minutes, you know, when I'm taking a break or making a change from whatever else I'm doing, you know, between now and then, I will come back and I'll give that hand wheel a little turn. And it may turn a little, but it may not go all the way. Or it may not turn at all. You know, if there's any resistance, I won't push back. I'll just let it do what it wants to do. What other important things? When the hand wheel comes off and the motor is out, that's always a great time to do the stitch length lever, the stitch length regulating lever. You can see I'm just using the swab here to get the shovelfuls of garbage out of there. Now that the grease has already got it wet enough to start getting some out of there. And I do have a little tool that fits between the teeth on the gears. And actually it's this screwdriver. It's got a really small, narrow, you know, even the width of the tip itself at the very end is not that wide. But I don't use that until this has already been cleaned like twice, you know, like maybe with crud cutter and that as well. And so I'm going to continue along here with my smearing that in there. That's there. So I think I'm pretty well good for now with the work that I've done here this morning. And like I said, I'm going to let it sit and drip, and then eventually it'll be getting a, you know, especially once the stuff comes out, that's when the real cleaning starts, because you know the parts are cleaned individually and the machine is cleaned as a whole in general as well. That's when it really starts to make a difference. But anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. I do. You know, my newfound experience and confidence with the 401s has made me venture into this 503J. You know, take on. Now, having said that, it is less complicated, because the cam stack is just you know, a single cam and stack kind of thing. It's not the complicated, great machine that is on the 401s and 500s. Anyway, folks, that's it for now. Hey, listen, have fun, stay safe. If you're able to, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. Thank you very much. And like I said, have fun, stay safe. Adios, amigos.